Yeah, we're ready. Let's go. Welcome to Blockchain Basement. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin going to zero again. All the banks collapsing, buying more guns, and preparing for the worst. All this and more on today's Blockchain Basement. Let's go. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're going to screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're going to get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we...
All right, welcome in, basement dwellers. We are here. Bitcoin under 20,000. All the alarm bells going off. People are freaking out in the streets. Good thing we've got the A-team here today. We've got the one and only Justin Williams, everybody's favorite bear. Tether is his favorite altcoin, and today you can see why. We got DZ, not Top D today, just actual DZ joining us. Drew, crypto prepper. He's not worried. He's more prepared for this than anybody. And the one and only Biscuit Jesus, BJ on the board, bringing the... snorting something over there. Who knows what's going on?
I learned it from Justin.
Nice. So holy cow, Bitcoin price is crashing. Of course, we've got all of you guys in the chat as well. Crypto Killer Whale, Fluffy Sheep, JP. Hey, I said your name right. By the way, my eyes aren't that great. I did not realize that was a I instead of an L this whole time, which is why I was saying Killer Wall. Cyber Posty, Justin Eubanks, Fluffy the Sheep, the Crypto Reaper, Crypto Max, Shrimpy Scapegoat, Crypto Billy, Corey Harden, Crypto Tony, Joni Jackhammer. That's Johnny Jackhammer. That's a fun one. Crypto Nick. Or Krypton, I'm not going to try again. Music Maven, Manoa, Crimson Caravan Company, Mr. Moho, Ryzen, JM, Crypto Biker, Crypto Thorn, and everybody else joining us live here today. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys, I don't know, you guys buying the dip? Are you feeling nervous? Like maybe we should start right there. Well, actually, real quick, pull this up real quick so we'll show some prices. We got Bitcoin coming in at 19.9, down 7% on the 24-hour. You know, Ethereum sitting at right at 1,400. So we're sitting at previous cycle all-time highs. You guys hear me say all the time, anything around 20,000 for Bitcoin, anything around 1,400 for Ethereum, I consider a good buy. I am buying some crypto today. You know, we could still go lower, but I feel like these are good value areas to accumulate. I still think there's a chance we test 18. It was not too long ago. DZ and actually the group had that bet. I think we're split about 50-50 on 18K versus 26K. Which one comes first? 18 feels like it's in the cards right now, but I will say some of these 19 levels seem to be holding up pretty good. We've got banks crashing left and right. Obviously, we knew Silvergate was having issues the other day. We started to break some of them. The price started breaking down yesterday, and we're going to get into some of that news. We had time to do some research. If you guys watch around the blockchain, they did cover it late in the day yesterday. We've got the New York Attorney General coming after KuCoin and calling it Ethereum a security. We've got that going on. Biden putting a 30% tax on Bitcoin mining. But really, I think the bank runs that we're experiencing right now is the number one catalyst that's causing these prices to crash. I keep wanting to say Silvergate. A Silicon Valley Bank, right before we went live, officially closed by California regulators. What's going to happen with that? We've got in pre-trading and today, as soon as markets open up, I think they were down as much as 60% stock price. Signature Bank getting hammered. What was that other bank?
It was First Republican.
Yeah, First Republic Bank in San Francisco also getting crushed. So
Wells Fargo doing
Wells Fargo had stuff going on, a glitch in the system. Customer funds just mysteriously missing. Like, oops, glitch in the system, just down for system maintenance. I know somebody in the morning stream said they had several $1,000s missing out of their accounts. A lot of people are getting negative balances in their accounts. So we're seeing definitely a liquidity crunch on some of these banks. We're going to get into that a little bit on why later in the show. I've learned a lot, and I'll admit, a lot of this bond market stuff does go a little bit over my head, but I've heard and I've been learning a lot about why short-term, when there's a higher yield on short-term bonds and treasuries, like 3, 4, 5%, that's real on the 2-year, on the 1-year, on the 5-year, compared to the 10-year, that's really bad for banks, and we're seeing that play out right in front of us. Somebody says, I bank with a credit union, F the big banks. Yeah, we're going to see today why it's great to have self-custody of your own assets. I will admit, somebody was trying to sell me another firearm the other day, and I was like, nah, I got enough of those. I don't need another one. Then last night I was thinking, I have enough of those?
Don't go knocking until you try it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was watching, not The Walking, Last of Us, and you start to see the value of being prepared and having stashes in different places and some of that stuff. I've only watched like 2 episodes, but give me another like 7 months and I might actually finish it. I don't watch enough TV, or I don't watch very much TV. But real quick, I wanted to play this video that Coinbase did for their ad. It's an interesting timing.
Wrong computer. I got mine up.
Oh, that's Drew's. That's Drew's. Drew's giving away the big reveal there later. That's the big 4 banks and how much money they're losing right now.
I'm not connected to that computer at all.
Uh-oh. Who didn't do that?
Oh, it's back. There we go.
You got it? Yeah.
There it is.
All right, here we go.
Chaos.
I will play this video for you guys to listen and hear. I thought it was a pretty decent ad by Coinbase. This is their ad that they've been running right now of why we need crypto. And it couldn't be more appropriate than days like today with banks going under. So let's check it out.
What is this archaic system?
Mother's maiden name? Ebowitz?
You're telling me this guy is how things get verified.
That's my job.
I'm just saying, you shouldn't have to buy $10 worth of gum if you just want 79 cents worth of gum. Why do you get charged your money to take your money from your account? And if you're out of money, they charge you for being out of money?
What?
An overseas transfer takes 5 days?
Business days.
Why?
What are they using? A Zeppelin?
I deposited the check Monday.
But Monday was a bank holiday.
Why is this the way it is?
A bank holiday?
This system
What's a bank holiday?
makes no sense.
This makes no sense.
Who designed this system?
Ma'am?
Is this really the best we can do?
Hello?
Don't we deserve better?
One
really
change.
good.
I
That's
just
pretty
bought the
good.
dip, right? We were talking about, I bought some Mina, and then you know what it did? Charged me $2.99 to spend my money. So I just thought that one line, you're charging me money to spend my money? Well, Coinbase does that.
They have a fee.
Yeah, there's a fee for the service. So yeah, good point there. Good catch.
But I love the commercial.
Yeah,
Love the commercial.
I feel like, there's definitely some nuance to all this stuff, but the overall message I think is strong of like, we're capable of so much better than what the traditional financial system is right now. It's extremely slow. It's extremely analog. You guys have heard me say it before. Crypto or blockchain or Bitcoin speeds up the world by 5 to 7 business days, especially when you're talking about international transfers, moving money from point A to point B at a much more rapid pace. I don't care. Like 10 to 15 minutes for block times might seem slow in crypto. It's extremely fast when you're talking about traditional banking. So I just wanted to play that. I thought it was a decent job by Coinbase. They're out there trying to move the ball forward, trying to raise awareness. This is something we need from a lot of these big players that have a lot of money, because the number one thing that's missing is education, which is why we do all this stuff. We try to expose, shine the light on the issues with the fiat system and the pros of blockchain and crypto. It's not perfect. It's a growing process, but if we can get more people involved with it, more people moving things forward, the better it will be. So, just wanted to play that clip. I thought it was good. And with all the traditional banks failing today, like we said, we talked about yesterday, somebody trying to withdraw couple $100,000. He literally couldn't do it after 5 weeks of trying to get it done. They only got, he was trying to withdraw 250. He could only get 160 out after jumping through 10 different hoops from the banks, because, and we're seeing right now why they do not want withdrawals, because if everybody starts to withdraw at the same time, they don't have the money. They have less. I was reading an article today. Most major banks hold less than 1% of their liabilities, meaning their customer deposits, your money, the money you give them. They have less than 1% of that in liquid cash that they could return to you if you needed it, which is a little scary.
It's super stressful, man. Like when I was moving from Denver to here, sold my house, signed all the paperwork, they said it was done or whatever. And I'm sitting there driving a U-Haul completely across the country. I got tiny little babies and all these children looking up to me. And I'm sitting there waiting on the money to come over, and it was late. It came over like 2 or 3 days later than it was supposed to. It took a total of like 6 days for all of that money to come over. And I was literally like having to just bank on it. I remember I crossed in Tennessee. It finally came to my account, and like such a relief washed over me, but the stress and worrying about that. And I was just like screaming at the top of my lungs, like, this is why we need Bitcoin. I could have done a test transaction the first day of and had all my money there to begin with, and I would know it's there. But instead I'm waiting on these smooth brains to basically rely on them to do their job and to push the money forward. And it just was a really aggravating, stressful situation.
Yeah, I'm already seeing it in the chat. If you guys have an experience like this, let us know. I see your owner says, dude, my bank does a limit withdrawal of less than $1,000. Let us know if you guys have experienced any limitations trying to get your hands on your own money. Ninja Glock says, I work for Bank of America. They would keep less than 10K probably on hand and move everything else out every single day. You had to make an appointment for large amounts of cash so they could arrange it to be there. Yeah, that's exactly the experience we've had too.
I like how Casino Doggy says days of robbing a bank are long gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the banks are doing all the robbing now.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, you can't rob a bank because the vault is empty. That's by design. So I'm going to read a couple of these. We got a lot to get into today. I'm going to read a couple of these and just kind of get the general sentiment of the room here. But today is shaping up to be one of the most worrying days for banks in the American history, going back all the way to 1933 when FDR made holding gold illegal.
That's a statement.
The Fed Reserve history. During the week-long bank closure of 1933, banks and their customers were unable to make deposits or withdrawals. That's already happened with I keep wanting to say Signature and Silver. Why do they all start with S? Silicon Valley Bank have already been closed. Withdrawals are nothing is being processed right now. They are in the midst of either A, needing an investor bailout, or B, needing another, bailout from another source. I believe they're reported to be the 13th largest bank in the United States. So this is not a small bank by any means. So Justin, well, let's see. I think I got this.
Say there was another totalitarian dictatorship that started a lot of things with S too.
What's that?
Which one?
Let you guys figure that one out.
You don't want to say it? Okay.
No.
So here's everything we got going on in the markets right now. And this was before any of the bank stuff. I really love this account. Shout out to Crypto in the Black, aka the Hidden Maze. He's doing a really good job pulling information together, just consolidating it and making it easy to read. So what the crypto market has to deal with right now: Mt. Gox selling pressure delayed to April, KuCoin being sued, and you could even put in parentheses next to that Ethereum claims of Ethereum being a security, Silvergate bankruptcy, Biden wants to tax electricity used to mine Bitcoin, specifically 30%. Biden wants to double capital gains tax to almost 40%, billionaire tax of 25%, hawkish Fed, 0.5 rate hikes, and prolonged hiking likely FOMC March 21-22. This number is, the odds are changing based on what's happening today, that this is going to be back down to 0.25 instead of 0.5 because the banks they're not weathering this storm well at all.
Yep.
Got the Shanghai ETH unlocked, Tether FUD, BUSD FUD, SEC clamping down on crypto, Voyager moving assets, probably paper handing, U.S. Department of Justice moving to close to $1 billion in Bitcoin from 2020 Silk Road, $200 million to Binance, which I don't know if we covered that on this stream. We did on the morning stream. Basically, U.S. government, Department of Justice, one of the largest known holders of Bitcoin in the world right now. They've got a ton of it from seizures. I think it was over 3 billion they seized. Now this was in USD to BTC value back in 21, so it's not the same now. But they've got billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, probably subpar or even slightly rising inflation numbers March 14th. Anything else? And so you want to add anything else? Now major institutional fiat banks going under. So Justin, when you see a list like this, we saw a price drop of almost 7, 8, maybe 9%, depending on what exchange you were looking at yesterday. You've been in crypto a long time. It's not your first dip. What kind of feelings and sentiment do you feel on days like today?
So I understand the people that get fearful and freak out, because at one point I went through my first bear market at one point, so I understand it. However, I am here to say that this is the kind of stuff that happens in a bear market. It magnifies fear and it magnifies the trend. And in the markets that I've been involved, or the cycles that I've been involved in, this is exactly what happens every single bear market. Now, there are some things that are different this time, like the interest rates are being hiked, but I think that's about it. There's always been for years, there's been the Tether thing going. They're going after Tether, people investigating that. There's always been these like black swan, quote unquote, black swan events in crypto with Mt. Gox and BitConnect. If you don't remember that was the big, quote unquote, FTX Celsius situation last cycle, was BitConnect. It took a lot of people's money compared to where the market was at that point. It took a lot of people's money. So I think this is just par for the course. Don't worry, stay the course. Everything will go back up eventually. This is just what happens when you're in this kind of crab market situation. You feel the negative news a lot more than you would feel the positive news in these kind of markets.
Yeah, I agree. And it's starting to, we're going to get into this a little bit more. But real quick, we have about 350 people watching live right now on YouTube. If all of you could do us a huge favor, smash that like button. Let us know how you're feeling in the comments right now. Are you feeling bearish, bullish, scared? Are you accumulating? Are you buying this dip? Are you waiting to see what happens next? I just love to see where you guys are at in that cycle. Are you excited that, hey, now I'm getting a chance? I know a lot of you have been saying we want it to pull back. We didn't accumulate enough before because we were scared when it was in the 16s and 17s. And I think for good reason. When you're seeing it drop that quickly, you want to wait till it does seem to find a bottom, which I feel like it did in that $16,000 range. Now it's made a good move back up. Now going back down to retest some of those levels, I feel like it is healthy. But either way, smash the like button, leave us a comment. What you got, Justin?
I want to say something real quick. Don't forget to look at blue chip NFTs in moments like this either. Everybody gets caught up in looking at like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins for good buy opportunities. But sometimes when, like, I know I bought my Bored Ape the day that the FTX news broke, and I was in London sitting at a table with a bunch of other people, and they were like, this is the time to buy one. I looked at it. ETH was down. The floor price of the apes were down, and I was able to snag it at a really good price. A week later, I was already up like 15K on my trade. So
I like that.
I'm just saying, don't forget to look at some of these blue chip NFTs that you feel like you're priced out of. Sometimes you can get really, really, really good deals with these black swan or these fast dives. So just that's a pro tip.
I'm gonna look. Right
Great advice there. That is a pro tip from the pro himself.
Yes.
We got Crypto Stevo's crushing on DZ over here. He said yesterday's looking like a Hitman. Today's looking like a ninja. He said, smash the likes if you like a man in black. Crypto
also, earlier they said it looked like Antifa.
Oh. So that was another I've gotten that one before too. Don't worry.
Wait, you have an Aunt Tifa?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye, Felicia. I don't know what. All right, so we have a lot to cover here. I'm going to burn through some of this. Sorry if it seems like a lot of reading, but I was learning a lot last night. Eric Voorhees, always one of my favorites on Twitter and in crypto. He says FTX stole $10 billion in customer funds, beloved by politicians. Silvergate gracefully returned customer funds and targeted by politicians, this is something notable here. Yes, these banks are starting to wind down. Silvergate is officially closed at this point as well, but they were able to make good on a lot of their customer withdrawals, and really they were the ones that made good on all the withdrawals that did happen from FTX. So they met their obligation. Now it did end up ending their business, but there's a big difference between somebody going insolvent and all the money just mysteriously being gone, like we experienced with FTX, and getting all of their liquid assets basically withdrawn and them having to liquidate other assets in order to make good on their deposits. And that's what we're seeing some of right now. Alex Gladstein here, referring to the New York Attorney General, claims that Ethereum is a security in the KuCoin lawsuit. He says, Anon, it may not happen, but best be prepared for a now they fight you phase in the United States or in America, where the authorities try to ban Bitcoin mining and declare anything else an unregistered security. We're starting to feel the heat from regulators. We're starting to feel that attack. Ryan Selkis saying the message that Senator Warren has sent to fintech, not just crypto. This is, financial technology in general is that the future of finance is abroad. It's not in the US. The costly impact of her radical posture, rhetoric, and policies will only become more obvious after the US begins to lose its lead in finance. And it is very interesting. We've got some intel on Elizabeth Warren as well. It's very interesting. She's right in the center of all of this stuff and has been for a very long time. We call her the banking broad here on this channel. That's where she receives most of her funding from. That's where a lot of her donors come from. She's fighting crypto and fintech in a huge way, trying to point blame. Anytime something bad happens, these are banks. These are banks running a traditional banking system that they've been running for a long time. Fictional reserve banking, also known as fractional reserve banking, which again is down to less than 1% of your funds that they're actually holding on to, and they're loaning all the rest of it out into what do they call them? Safe haven assets, or no risk, as they would say, buying government treasuries and bonds. And we're starting to see today the risk in doing that.
What I don't get with the energy thing, how they're like, we're going to ban Bitcoin, we're going to put the tax on the mining. It's like, say we had a mining farm. I can just set up a bunch of virtual machines and then just be like, what are all these GPUs for? And we're like, oh, we're rendering out the new Lego movie, and then everything's on virtual IPs. It's like, it would take them so much independent work to actually prove that you are mining Bitcoin, and that's exactly what that stuff's being used for.
Correct. Like, yeah. The enforcement of it would be absolutely a challenge.
Like, good luck.
Go ahead.
I was just saying good luck.
Yeah, it would be a challenge. However, just creating it and the fear around it, I think, would disincentivize a lot of big commercial, like for somebody like me or you, sure, we could get away with a small scale operation. If you're talking about, miner mine or some of these big things where it's, you've got giant commercial buildings and it's going to be very hard to disprove what you're actually doing.
I like Rug Gang says, just tell them anything AI and they'll be like, where do I invest?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great point. Yeah, we're doing AI rendering. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll give you free energy. Yeah,
True.
Go ahead.
What did you just do?
My damn can wouldn't open, so I had to stab it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching the bird's eye view as he pulled out a knife. I was like, oh my God, here we go. It's finally happening.
The flashlight worked a little bit better, but
wow.
Flashlight?
Wow. Drew is always prepared.
Remember going postal? We don't say that anymore, huh?
No.
Is that offensive to postal workers, or it's just no one's shot up a place anymore?
Well, no one uses the post office. Really.
Oh, yeah. Why do those people go crazy? I know, that's off topic anyways.
We work for the federal government.
Yeah.
You think they're walking outside, they'd be happier than most people.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's all them dang dogs.
Them dogs, man. CEO of Silicon Bank sold $3.57 million in stock within the last 2 weeks. Seems a little fishy. That's interesting. Enzo Mining says, what will happen if price goes down for BTC and power tax in mining passes? Will Bitcoin hash control go to South America or Russia? It will definitely start to leave. If that tax passes, it'll leave. Now, I was saying I've heard some of the defenses against it. I feel like there's a pretty strong case against levying a steep tax specifically on Bitcoin mining because there's so much empirical data that shows it's good for the power grid. It's good for energy. It actually makes more green energy. It upgrades the power grid in a lot of places, and almost any operation or person that interacts with a real high-scale Bitcoin mining facility, they've got a lot of data to back up how they're good for the energy grid, not bad for the energy grid. We went out to CleanSpark here. Yeah. They're here in Georgia. I mean, Georgia has a lot of the hash rate for Bitcoin mining, as well as Texas has a lot. But the United States in general, we have a pretty good share right now. This would be a direct shot at it. And even if something does get passed, guys, keep in mind with politics, they're going to overshoot a lot of this stuff, even with the capital gains stuff. And, if coming out of this administration, the White House, that sort of stuff, it's not necessarily they said they're going to relieve all student loans too. And they haven't done that yet. And
that was the rug pull. That was one hell of a rug pull he gave them. Yeah.
Well, and if they say they're pushing for a 30% tax on Bitcoin energy used for Bitcoin or crypto mining, and they might get something through. They're not going to get 30% through. But I think that's going to take a long time. But it is worrisome that the posture that regulators and legislators are taking towards Bitcoin and crypto in general, in my opinion.
But posturing even momentarily might be enough to get the effect that they want.
Yep, exactly. And within the effect that they want is control of this industry. And don't let what they're saying fool you. They know this is here to stay. They know they can't get rid of it. They want to put it in the hands of the people paying them. The administrators, the policymakers. They're on the payroll of somebody, generally big companies and big banks, big finance, big tech. And those businesses and industry want to have control of this. They do not want it to be some upstart individual like BJ was just talking about, where you get going on your own and all of a sudden you turn into a titan that they have to deal with. Yeah. Do I need a VPN if I'm not hiding KYC and not staking? No.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Actually, yeah. You want a VPN almost for anything, just when it comes to privacy, with your digital roaming online. If you want to have yourself protected, you don't want them seeing everything you're doing. I think a VPN is a good idea to use for almost any surfing on the internet. So, do people still say that surfing the web? I don't know.
Surfing the web, bro. ASL.
All right, real quick. Politicians are now telling us that because a single bank peaking at $16 billion in assets wound down in an orderly manner, making depositors whole, affecting no one but shareholders, causing no knock-on effects, the crypto firms must be shut down out of the banking system. And this is Nick Carter. He's talking about Silvergate Bank winding down and the fact that realistically, the impacts were next to nothing when it came to customer funds and compared to FTX. There was no fraud. I think people did get repaid. Yeah, people that invested in Silvergate, they're losing money. But that's what happens when you're an accredited investor. And this is this is the doublespeak that comes out of Congress and legislators, and specifically Gary Gensler and the SEC. They are not protecting the user individual. They're protecting big business, accredited investors. When accredited investors start getting hurt, when major banks and stockholders start losing money, that's when they really start taking action. When the little guy loses all their money, they're like, well, it happens. This is what you get for investing in crypto, which is just really frustrating. We've got Coinbase, Robinhood, Kraken, and others could face lawsuits for potential security law violation. That's coming out of Fox Business. John Deaton was on the morning show today. He said the SEC has 200 to 400 cases that they're talking about putting out there for enforcement. So this is not going away. It is fascinating to me that they're blaming crypto for all of this when realistically this is the traditional system that's causing that problem. So let's see. Silvergate. Okay, so this is why people are saying this is such a big deal. If Silicon Valley Bank does fail, it'd be the second largest bank failure in U.S. history, not far behind Washington Mutual, which collapsed in 2008 with around $307 billion in assets. Would be a Titanic event, not just limited to startups or VCs. So again, this is a bank that it's at this point it's on death's door. It is closed as of this moment. Will an investor step in and save it? Will the Fed try to keep it? Is it considered too big to fail at this point? I mean, ask Justin and DZ. I wasn't around. Definitely wasn't following financial markets all that much back in 2008. Ben and I were talking in the office this morning. This today does feel pretty historic with some of this kind of stuff. It does start to feel like the rumblings in the beginning of the financial collapse in 2008, where you're starting to hear, like he referenced Washington Mutual here. That was a huge bank, a huge lender operator that all of a sudden everybody thought was great, and then all of a sudden starts going under, and then it starts the contagion, like what happened with FTX. If we start to see that contagion in traditional markets, how real of an issue do you think bank runs could be?
I think the difference between the Silicon Valley Bank, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know anything about that bank.
Yeah.
I know is what you told me, which is the 13th largest bank. But what I don't hear, like what happened in 2008 was directly tied to a lot of real estate, and a lot of homes, and a lot of residents of people buying single family residence. And so a lot of the money was loaned to these families that couldn't pay it back on these crazy, they should have never got the loans, blah, 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 whatever the reason was.
Yep.
I think in that case, the government had a much larger responsibility to bail that out. Instead of a bank like Silicon Valley, the Silicon Valley Bank, I don't think they're tied to as much as like the 2008 crash was.
Yeah,
I would agree. That would be the difference I would see in these two scenarios. Whether they bail them out or not, I don't know. But they had to bail out 2008. They had to.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%. It's not nearly as tied to consumer. A lot of these banks are holding mortgage-backed securities, but the difference is the mortgages are much more reasonable mortgages to the point you were just making. People should not have been able to take out the loans that they were taking out, especially with adjustable rate mortgages. And today, the mortgages are, people learn their lesson from that generally.
They're a lot tighter. The regulations are a lot tighter.
Yeah, they're a lot tighter because of that reason. Now, treasuries and mortgage-backed securities are still part of what these banks are holding, and they are having to liquidate them. But we're going to get into that a little bit more. But DZ, where were you at? And do you remember the 2008 collapse? I mean, there was the whole Occupy Wall Street movement going on. A lot of angry people. I was young. I was probably 18, 19 at the time, just kind of starting to get my head around some of this stuff. Definitely not as involved in, the financial markets as I am today. Any memories of any of that kind of stuff?
You were protesting, right, DZ?
Yeah, I was out
Occupy.
there at Decker's house.
Yeah.
I was hanging out.
Chaz.
I had my tent and everything.
With Chaz and all that.
No, I was following it pretty closely. I was watching stocks every single day. I was investing in stocks, and the best moves I made was, I jumped in a little early on some things. The best moves I made was copy trading Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett came in, he bought Bank of America, and he bought some other stuff. And I remember just hearing that and just YOLOing in, and my Bank of America overperformed because a lot of these banks, there were good opportunities. Now, you see 10 banks and 10 of them fell 80%. Maybe 6 are going to, go under, file for Chapter 7, file for Chapter 11. I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to draw down, but if you invest in 10, those other 4, those other 5, those other 6, they're going to more than make up what you end up losing, because you can only lose, I've said this a million times, we always say this, you can only lose 1x, but you can get 10x, 7x, 20x. So I think there might be some opportunity when you see big money coming in and then scooping up the remnants. That is why I actually copied BlackRock, because they jumped in on some Silvergate. I think they jumped in a little bit early, but I'm just going to continue the strategy of copying smart money, big money, and I think it will pay off, because it certainly did back then.
There you go. Yeah, LJJ said he just saw on Twitter that Circle held an undisclosed amount at Silicon Valley Bank. That's interesting to keep an eye on. The bank run there did start by Peter Thiel, major VC investor, basically told all of his businesses, get your money out of Silicon Valley Bank, which kicked it right off.
And he's a very, very bright guy, very smart guy.
Yeah, he was
very connected.
Yeah, and he's very involved, obviously, in crypto, a lot of things in financial and fintech in general. Let's see. Crypto Steve says DZ's looking badass. Somebody else said, is DZ cold? DZ's always cold, guys, in case you don't know that.
Yeah, when it's like 87 degrees, everyone's like sweltering, dying in the office. I was like, I got my hood up. I feel comfortable.
You're like,
I'm wearing gloves.
This is good. This is good.
Yeah, what y'all mean?
And I did see somebody else said they got their first house in the 08-09 crash. Congratulations on that. Chemistry Bro, my dad had dinner with Circle executives this week. Man, Chemistry Bro getting more and more interesting by the second.
Yeah.
Head of sales and regional director for Circle Asia. Oh, you're not going to tell us what happened?
Yeah, right.
They had dinner, but what was talked about at dinner there, Chemistry Bro?
What did they get for appetizer? Come on.
Okay, we'll keep this moving through here just real quickly. Altcoin Cycle sharing this. We did touch. This is what's so interesting when there's mass chaos going on. All kinds of people start making moves. I couldn't hardly go to bed last night because of everything going on Twitter. Just boom this, boom that. But we also got Justin Sun withdrew 60 million in Ethereum stablecoins from Huobi. That's his own exchange. Huobi token was crashing. Tron was crashing. I think they experienced a little bit over. Yeah, basically, look at it. Justin Sun wallet. So he's crashing his own exchange.
If your boss is running out the front door, a couple people are going to follow, though.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, and this is that meme right there. I'm sure everything's fine.
Settle down.
Yeah, don't worry about it, guys.
Cool.
Look, let me just get my money out.
I'm going to lunch.
It's happening.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys.
I got to pay for the pizza party somehow for y'all.
Right. Who is? How would you feel about buying on a day like today, Justin? Are you buying? Are you waiting? Are you watching? What's your action or no action?
I think. I am going to buy some today. I'm going to buy some more optimism. It's down to $2.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy.
What do you feel about Mina?
I'm going to buy some.
I bought some.
Yeah.
That's what I ended up buying.
Yeah,
today.
I'm going to buy some. I just think I think all this stuff is going to come back. It might take a month. It might take 2 months. It might take 3 months. I don't know. But it's going to go back, and it's going to go much higher. So I'll say it again, like I said at the beginning of the show. Don't be scared. This is part of it.
Oh man, Chemistry Bro with the alpha right here. He does come through. I can say one thing they discussed: what to call a British pound pegged Circle issued stable coin.
Man, I've been talking about this. I'm waiting for more countries to have their currencies as stable coins. I want to diversify my stable coins. I want a bunch of Swiss francs. I want a bunch of everything, because the Libra, the Russian Libra, like right after the war started, they ended up like pumping over the dollar like 40%, 50%. So there's going to be more fun arbitrage games, because I never got in the FX exchanges, the foreign exchanges. Forex, but a lot of people do. And, to me, I'm more into a crypto type of vibe. So I'm all about getting some like non-as inflationary assets.
That's really interesting. He says, my dad is British, but he lives in Singapore, by the way. Yeah, Singapore, one of the most free countries when it comes to financial freedom, also with a lot of wealth and growth going on there, too. I think we showed a chart here the other day that showed, pound for pound, more financial freedom, more growth and economic upside, which should be obvious.
Cost of living, cost of living is extremely high in
it's like
Singapore.
them in Dubai are like 1 and 2 or something.
Yeah. Dubai also a lot of financial freedom. So so you guys are both buying, you're scooping, both looking at some alts that you've had your eye on major pullbacks. And this is just good advice for I'm also buying, but I wanted just to give this word of warning. I thought it was solid advice. If you feel unbearably nervous, then you probably shouldn't be touching your trading account right now. Speaking from personal experience, this is Fabian HD. Trust me, I know what it's like. Step away, clear your mind, remind yourself of the bigger picture, then come back with a renewed focus, which I think is definitely solid advice to what Justin was saying. Look, it may not clear, the storm may not go away tomorrow, may not go away next week, but a month from now, you'll probably be very happy you're accumulating at these levels. I'm also buying at these levels. I know some other people in the office that are buying. A lot of people are excited to get sub 1,400 ETH, sub 20K Bitcoin. Again, Mina protocol on that pullback is under 70 cents at this point, which is where I first started looking at it. Scooping some of that optimism coming back up on $2, which is a great buy. I know Matic, I believe, is back under $1 right now at this point.
I might get some.
Yeah, it's under. I thought it was at $1 right now.
Right under.
I don't even want Matic to speculate. I want to spend my Matic on different some side chains, some DeFi, maybe even some Polygon NFTs.
And this is good advice. This is not for necessarily for days like today. It could be. But this is advice I wish I had more in the top of the market, in the bull run. I've heard this quote before, but I wanted to share with you guys. This is Miles here. He said he really resisted the urge to FOMO in around the 24K region. A lot of people were feeling that FOMO of like, man, if I don't get in now, it's going to go up to 30. It's going to go up to 40. I'm never going to get it. We told you on this channel a lot. There's going to be a pullback. We're going to have to retest these 20K levels. We knew we had that CME gap. I think we could even retest 18. He said, instead, I mainly focus on the long-term trading that took partial profits and some spot. But this is the quote right here. And this is very famous quote. I can't remember who it's from, but I've heard it before. For one thing, we usually act too quickly when we're trying to make money and hold on. You guys can't see that edge.
Dude, DAG hasn't moved like at all. This is
Cosmos hasn't moved much either in this dip, which is interesting. Not nearly as much relatively, but for one thing, we usually act too quickly when we're trying to make money and too slowly when we're trying to protect our money. When we are pressed to make a decision, ask yourself, am I doing this to protect my money or to make more money? If the answer is to protect your money, act more quickly. If the answer is if the answer revolves around making more money, act slowly. And that's something I wish I knew, again, at the top of the market, in the bull market. I feel like we definitely could have, before Celsius collapsed, before some of this other stuff was going on, before the major, downward market in 2022, I do wish I took more action in protecting our funds than just trying to stay long-term bullish to make more money in the long term, because it's all relative. I'm not doing that. Hold on, I'm gonna spin around for a minute, BJ. I don't know where I'm going right now.
I'm trying to buy Mina right now.
Oh, okay, everybody's on their phone, buying the dip.
Well, I changed all my Polygon.
I was gonna wait, but if you aren't waiting,
nobody else is waiting.
Hurry before Justin
my
moves
Polygon.
If we all buy together, that was
who else is putting 200K in?
Yeah.
Do it. No, I just swapped my Polygon for some more DAG.
Hey, there you go. By the way, if we all buy together, maybe we can stop this bleeding, which is a complete joke. By the way,
tell Gensler.
No, I saw a comment the other day when we were talking. We had a pretty bearish title about Bitcoin bank run or something like that. It says, all these crypto influencers are crashing the market. I'm like, guys, if you think this channel or any channel has the power to manipulate the Bitcoin market cap, you're new here. I'm sorry. There's nothing else I can say.
People look at Justin's son's wallet, not DZ.ETH. Right. Okay, that's what's moving the needle.
Exactly. And the DOJ DOJ's moving billions of dollars of Bitcoin around right now. We're not moving. All of us combine. If I don't care how rich any of you guys are, if we combine all of us right now, there's no way we're getting close to even probably $100 million. So I don't know. Let us know in the chat if you're worth more than like 60 million. I'd be shocked.
Hell yeah.
Hey, maybe there is. If you are, you can come on the show. So what, BJ? You saying you're worth more than 60 million?
I mean, this face is.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Long-term bullish. All right, Eric Voorhees making another appearance. The important difference between volatile crypto and volatile banks is that one of them can collapse completely, and that is extremely true. Bitcoin, it can go down. It can be extremely volatile. It can have 85% drawdowns. It's not going to zero because it's got a very strong use case. People want a separation of government and money, and there will always be people out there that do that. When it comes to a bank, they, like what we've seen with FTX, a centralized exchange, what we just saw with Silvergate Bank, what we're now seeing with Silicon Valley Bank, they can go insolvent and wind down and have to close and end their business operation because they do not have what's needed to repay.
Look at that paper hand reply by Bitcoin is saving on that tweet. Difference between crypto can collapse completely. Oh, I didn't know he was like quoting that, but still,
no,
Bitcoin is saving, but you think it'd be a little more bullish.
Yeah, no, put it this way: some can.
Yeah, some can, but not
Bitcoin's not going to zero. Ethereum's not going to zero. All right.
Mina purchased.
All right, now BJ can pay attention again. All right, perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I still might not. I still got to play some
see,
Marvel
if we all
Snap.
dress in black, man, let it go, Steve. We can become an Assassin's Squad. Yeah, Assassin's Creed. Great bad game. I don't know how to, like a very addicting game that is very repetitive, and I love it. But it's
I
also
actually look like the character Desmond. Like when he's coming out of like the little pods, not the not his relative, his ancestor. I look like the lazy millennial version.
Right. Okay. Ezio Auditore.
But he doesn't have a mustache. He wouldn't be.
Yeah, that was before I grew out the facial hair.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do we got here? All right. All right. Well, now we're going to start getting into the bank run stuff. A lot of people in Silicon Valley who've been dunking on crypto are about to learn why it can be very valuable. And it was days like today that I was like, you know what? I'm glad I don't have a ton of money in banks. Yes. I'm glad I self-custody most of my funds. And again, not in a centralized exchange. This is another win for holding your own funds in your own wallet and feeling some sense of preparedness, safety in self-sovereignty, self-ownership. Mm-hmm. Obviously, banks are part of this system. We're not going to see all of the banks collapse. The U.S. government won't allow it. They will get back to printing, which we'll talk about at the end, which is also good for us in Bitcoin because the more they devalue the dollar, the more buying power Bitcoin will have. But here we go. Who's down for a good old-fashioned bank run? This is one of my favorite little gifts there with the Joker ready to make it all, ready to light the match and let it explode. We got.
I mean, this has also been waiting. So I've been talking about this. If we're at a 0% fractional reserve, China was an 11.25 and has had bank runs since last June. Mm-hmm. So this has just been impending.
Mm-hmm. BTC Poppy says he wants to blaze it with Tom Crown and DZ, not TJ. Cool, thanks, man.
Wow.
I see how it is.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Oh, and BJ. Oh yeah. Oh, throw BJ in there too. Okay. I see how it is.
I'm a good. Never mind. I'm not saying that.
I assume Silicon Valley Bank is FDIC insured. It is. It is FDIC insured. That is part of why they had to step in and stop it from collapsing because the FDIC is going to have to make sure these deposits go through. Oh, you don't know what you don't know, Urkelson.
You don't know. I don't know.
I still like the way I found out.
I don't even remember. Don't. I'm sure you do, but I have no idea.
The story was you were having a fuel issue on your E90. I scanned it. I came into the office. I go, man, it smells really loud in there. And you go, does it? I go, no, but now I know.
Yeah. That was good. I do remember. That was at the.
And that's called
was that here? That was here, right? Or was it at the old building? It was at the old building.
It was my first day. I was like, I need to know.
Hannah is off Fridays, Poppy, and R.I.P. Heath Ledger. Too soon.
Oh yeah, way too soon.
Fun fact: last person to see him live was an Olsen twin.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some say she's the one who gave him the pills. I'm not saying that. Just that's what some people say.
Random.
If you look at her, you're like, what are the odds that she's popping Xannies like they're candy? You look at her, you're like,
pretty high.
Pretty high. Jim Cramer just tweeted, JP Morgan is a fortress. Will the curse strike again?
Oh my God.
Come on, Cramer, why are you doing this to us?
He did tweet about that bank.
Yeah,
too.
he tweeted, he was saying go all in on Silicon Valley Bank. I think it was like 6 or 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And here we go.
He tweeted about 2 months ago.
Sometimes all you need is
BTC Poppy. BJ also did save me when I ran out of gas in the Lambo. Yeah, another another shining moment for our relationship. So
I mean, the
Yeah,
best
best
was
Joker.
the fire truck saying so unprofessional over the megaphone.
that was amazing. That was amazing. Yeah, definitely best Joker.
Crypto Rex says Biden just said his economic plan is working. It is working.
It is.
Biden's a Marxist, so it's working.
Question is, who's it working for?
Not you and
Not
I.
us.
Let's see. I'm trying to decide where I want to take this
All the
next.
skis. I wanted to say on Circle, it looks like 80% of their funds are in BNY Mellon.
Mm-hmm.
So 80% of the reserves are in BNY Mellon. They are exposed to Citizen Bank, SVB, and Silvergate, amongst a few others. But BNY Mellon's that one that oversees like 31 trillion, I think.
Yeah, BNY Mellon, the oldest bank in the United States. They've been around literally from the beginning. And so if that tells you anything, and that's how I kind of figured when I knew BNY Mellon was behind Circle, behind Goldman Sachs, people behind Circle, the issuer of USDC. That's kind of how I put together that theory of USDC being the United States CBDC, so to speak, their stable coin of choice. Circle will be the issuer, like Chemistry Bro was alluding to. I think we've even covered it on this show. The British pound, the EU, I think they started circulating tickers already for, I can't remember what they were, but we did cover it on the show. So, all right, real quick, we're going to start getting into this and why all of these banks are collapsing. Good morning, everyone. Silicon Valley Bank, it's getting worse. Customers trying to pull millions of dollars out and cannot. Online banking and mobile services showing unavailable for some customers. Stock down 60%, free market. If the bank fails, it would be the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. So this is the system unavailable. If any of you guys have experienced a warning like this from any centralized entity that says, we are, what do they say in crypto? We are temporarily disabling withdrawals.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about here. We're just temporarily disabling withdrawals.
Cleaning the bathrooms.
Yeah, exactly. And so here's an explainer of what's going on. And this really helps me understand kind of why this bond stuff really matters. An explainer on what is going on with the Silicon Valley Bank. In 2021, Silicon Valley Bank saw a mass influx in deposits, which jumped from 61 approximately billion at the end of 2019 to 189 billion at the end of 2020. So roughly a 3x in money. So when the government turned that printer on, who was winning? VCs, big tech, a lot of these big companies that were well positioned. It was just free money flowing in, and they've just had more money than they knew what to do with. As deposits grew, Silicon Valley Bank could not grow their loan book fast enough to generate the yield they wanted to see on this capital. As a result, they purchased a large amount, over 80 billion in mortgage-backed securities, which that's what Justin was alluding to. A lot of people were in mortgage-backed securities in that 08 cycle. I will say these mortgage-backed securities are more sound and solid mortgages than they once were, but it's still notable that it is the same medium or vehicle, so to speak. So these deposits for their hold to maturity portfolio, meaning like they're going to hold these things for a long time. We got tons of money here. We don't see a need for it anytime soon. We're going to put it in our long-term hold portfolio. 97% of these mortgage-backed securities were in a 10-plus year duration with a weighted average yield of 1.56%. So it's like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's only 1.56% over 10 years. If you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars, we're going to be good. The issue is that the Fed raised interest rates in 2022 and continue to do so since 2023. And for perspective, it's been the fastest raise of interest rates in the United States history. Just quick, big raises, and that's why people have been freaking out. It's been wrecking markets. The value of Silicon Valley Bank's mortgage-backed securities plummeted. This is because investors can now purchase long-duration, quote-unquote, risk-free bonds from the Fed at a 2.5x higher yield. So if you can buy it from the Fed, risk-free bonds at way higher yield, why would you be getting into mortgage-backed securities? Right. This is not a liquidity issue as long as Silvergate Bank maintains their deposits, since these securities will pay out more than they cost eventually. However, and this is when the bank run started, when Peter Thiel and others started like sounding the alarm bells. Yesterday afternoon, Silicon Valley Bank announced that they had sold 21 billion of their available for sale securities at a $1.8 billion loss. And we're raising another 2.2 billion in equity and debt. This came as a surprise to investors who were under the impression that Silicon Valley Bank had enough liquidity to avoid selling their what did that stand for? Basically long-term hold portfolio. So and it was very similar to what happened with Silvergate Bank as well. when they put out a report and something where investors could realize, like, wait a minute, something is not going well at this bank. They don't have liquidity here for the deposits that they have on hand, their liabilities. We need to get our money out of there so we're not stuck holding the bag. And then all of a sudden, which is very similar to what happened with FTX. Boom, $8 billion of withdrawals in one day. Okay, now we got to go start selling a lot of our real estate holdings, a lot of our treasury holdings, a lot of our things that we were supposed to hold for a long time to make our money. Now we have to sell it quick and at a loss in order to cover withdrawals. And then everybody gets scared and it becomes a race to the bottom.
Quick derailing because it's fun.
Yeah.
Shrimpy Scapegoat shared this, and then I grabbed this article. Grant's from 2019, but this is hilarious.
If we can save the banks, oh God.
No dice, Greta. No dice. This is great, though.
It's all about narratives.
Because
make me feel better.
That was 4 years old. That was 4 years old. Let's just be intellectually honest.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't matter.
No, I said it's from 2019.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how old it is. You can see
It's
the
still
political
hilarious.
messaging interwoven between all of this stuff, and energy crisis, save the banks. All of it. It's the same fear mongering that always goes on. Oh, we're going to burn the world down if you don't do what we need you to do. Oh, you're all going to die if you don't take this major thing that we need you to take. Like, fear is the strongest motivator. They'll find a narrative, and they've had it pretty much since the inception of government. They'll divide you, and they will make you be afraid that if you don't have them,
No, they divide you, then they lie to you.
There you go.
It kind of rhymes.
All
Let's
right,
just
so
go
tell
with
me
it.
why this is a good thing, Drew.
All right. So basically, this is signaling to me in the long term that the Fed is going to have to take their foot off of the neck of traditional banking and of these interest rates that they've been pushing forward. Everyone's been looking at the charts of 1980s where it went up to 10% Fed funding rate. Homes, your mortgages ended up being an 18% interest rate. All that cataclysm that happened after the 70s inflation. This, as you noted, is the highest velocity of interest rate hikes that we've ever experienced as a country, and seeing it break so soon into the velocity of the hike is fantastic for me because it shows me exactly what I've been saying, that they are addicted to quantitative easing, and they're going to have to turn it on much faster than they hoped to do so. They hope to slow boil us up and then down just to say that they did something. Now they're going to have to hit the brakes a lot harder, and I feel fantastic. And the more people that realize how garbage, how much of a facade this entire monetary system is, the more people that will come into self-custody for their Bitcoin. They'll find that sovereignty. All the lockdowns that we've experienced over the past few years have given me so many more homies in my like-minded mindset that are ready to go after it because they tried to starve us during flu season for not taking a jab. So I feel fantastic. Come on down. The water's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, somebody said
actually, it's not. It's full of atrazine and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, if you filter it, you filter. All right, I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, he's got a filtered pool. Don't worry, guys. He's running
His estrogen level's fine.
Yeah. What's that, Justin?
Nothing. No,
Oh,
I
never
should
mind.
have said it.
Leave the frogs alone.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about the homosexual frog.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, but okay, so you jumped the gun a little bit on me. I was ready to talk about that. So all of a sudden the Fed is now priced to cut
Wait, is
rates.
that the one you just pulled up?
What?
I'm just kidding.
Yes.
All of a sudden, no, I had this already. All of a sudden, the Fed is now priced to cut rates by 25 basis points in December. It could be even sooner. To Drew's point, somebody asked, how do we fix this problem? There's two options. There's two options on how we fix the issue at hand right now. One is we let capitalism, free market actually play out, and all these banks would fail. It would be total catastrophe, burn it to the ground, chaos, looting, really, really bad stuff, which is why they won't let that happen. Or option two, we print our way out of it. We continue to devalue the currency, and we kick the can down the road for the next administration to deal with. And that's, basically what has happened time and time again ever since the 70s when we got off of the gold standard. And so it'll happen again. Like you said, they're addicted to this. It's the only solution they know other than coming out and saying, well, we screwed up. Everything's going to zero. There's no money in the bank. So have fun fighting each other for food.
They're
and
not going to do
resources.
that.
They won't
They're
do
not
that.
going to do that. They like their massages. They like having their little places that can go get their fancy drinks. They like their private schools for their children. They like having infrastructure and servants. So that's not really an option for the people that actually are at the top of this system. You just have to keep the mainstream public asleep enough to get what you want if you are in control of everything. That's just my personal opinion. I know everyone might have differing opinions about this, and not all the doom and gloom of saying we're going to turn the internet off and we're going to get blasted by nukes and all this stuff. I don't find any value in that kind of conversation. It's a big wide world with a lot of different interests in it, and this is just growing pains. So yeah, we need a Sasquatch in there.
Yeah, we do. We do need a Sasquatch in there.
I need a Sasquatch.
Chemistry Bro saying, so basically we're seeing the effects of tightening too late but aggressively, and so now they'll have to start the engines up again too fast. Yes, I tend to agree. They've been talking about this the whole time. It's been their main fear. Oh, if we re-kick the printer on too fast, we'll see runaway inflation. Probably will, because they're not going to have a lot of options right now. And again, keep in mind, they're lying to you about the current inflation anyway. It's nothing close to 4, 5, 6%. It's in my opinion, much closer to 20, 30%.
Absolutely.
Especially just look at the increase of the supply to the demand. If you do your own math, do it simple math, you can see that the inflation is much higher than what they're claiming. And so to a lot of the people in the chat's point, to Drew's point, we've got this graph here showing, yes, today's issue is painful for Silicon Valley Bank, but this is not isolated just to them. This is the 4 big banks' unrealized net losses, meaning Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citi, and what is that? Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo, yeah.
So what is the C? Company, I guess.
Yep.
And here we go. Boom. Those are their losses. Let me zoom out a little bit here. This is their losses over the last since 2009. They were looking pretty good. Pretty good. Maybe they had a little bit. Okay, we had some problems show up we were making some good money in 2020. Nothing really going on in 2021. All of a sudden, December-ish 2022. They're losing some serious dollars. I think what does that say? It's about $116 billion loss for Bank of America. Yeah, and that's all. It's a result of this same thing happening.
But crypto's the problem.
Oh, we'll get to that at the end. Yeah, not a great day to be a bank in the United States. There's now a widespread fear, if not yet panic, over bond market losses at all mid-sized U.S. banks. What exactly is happening? Basic fact, banks hold less than 1% of liabilities, i.e. your deposits, as physical cash. I touched on that earlier in the show. And this is another, I feel like, really good explainer. It's got some graphs in there that really shows the issue. And again, I think he mentions it in here. The problem is banks are required to hold these long-term treasuries. Yeah. They're regulated into basically investing in the government, giving the government funds to operate and continue perpetuating their Ponzi. Banks are overexposed to bonds. That is problematic in a market with rising rates, such as 22, 23. Rising rates means falling bond prices. In a liquidity crunch, you sell bonds at a loss. Someone has to cover the loss. Shareholders, clients, and here's the big one, taxpayers. What happened in 2008, 2009? If they did not step in and print a whole bunch of money, aka extract money from the taxpayers, the banks were going to go bust. They had to step in and save it, and this is what we're starting to experience again. And here you can see the losses. I was just showing you, or the overexposure to treasuries in this graph. Most banks are affected they all do the same thing, buy treasuries. Silvergate went into liquidation after Senator Warren caused a run by tweeting that the bank wasn't solvent, forcing them to sell treasuries. So this is also another interesting thing to me. We've seen both of these runs on these two different banks caused by very specific people. Peter Thiel in one scenario, Elizabeth Warren in the other one. And then you can question their motivations. Some people, I've even heard claims that Warren potentially was shorting Silvergate stock.
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah. Apparently that is rumor. Now, will she be able to be prosecuted for that?
No.
I'm sure she's got a proxy, and they know what they're doing. It's not their first rodeo. We're going to get into her net worth here in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so Silicon Valley Bank is up next as VC clients are telling their companies to get out. That means a run is likely underway. Again, we've already seen that play out today. This is stuff from last night. As the 18th, so I was saying 16th. It's the 18th largest bank in the United States. The Fed cannot let them go under. They will be forced to step in if investors or the FDIC does not. As of now, it appears investors are. So you guys remember when we were talking about Silvergate Bank, Gareth Soloway mentioned when Goldman Sachs was about to go under, Warren Buffett stepped in and struck a sweetheart deal with them. I think that was the one we were doing together, right? Yeah. And I didn't even really know that they were on the brink of going under at any point. But if somebody steps in with a ton of cash, which is probably why we've seen people like Berkshire Hathaway stockpiling insane amounts of cash, I'd also be interested if we could see a company like Apple, again, sitting on tons of cash, step in, and we're already seeing, or even another crypto exchange like a Coinbase.
CZ.
Yeah. Oh, they won't let CZ touch
I know,
this stuff. But I mean, it makes sense. Somebody
Buffett's in a lot of cash. All the richest people in the world sold a significant portion in Q4 21. And they just been sitting on this cash waiting for these moments. So the smart billionaires, they exited 15, 16 months ago.
Yeah, they took their profits early. They didn't get greedy, and they're sitting on a lot of cash right now to take action.
I saw something on the news last night that the top 4, Warren Buffett, Oprah, Zuckerberg, I can't remember.
Bezos, Musk.
Bezos. Did you see that?
No.
They're all buying. It was Bezos. It wasn't Musk though. They're all buying large. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of acres of farmland.
Yep.
All over the country.
Interesting.
And in Hawaii, they're just buying up farmland.
They're trying to keep up with Bill Gates.
Well, no, Bill Gates was one of them. Bill Gates does not own the most, though. Actually, it's Warren Buffett that owns them.
It's almost like land and the ability to have water and food's important long term or something. It's really weird.
Really weird. Another thing with a set supply.
Yeah.
Well, what they're saying, the Bill Gates is so against the cows. So he's buying up all the farmland and just
because he has
it.
a gross amount of patents for soy-based products.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have the fake eggs? Who's going to eat a fake egg? Like,
Not
who wants to
me.
eat a fake egg?
No
Does that
need.
sound healthy?
Well, according to the World Health Organization, fake eggs are healthier than real eggs.
Of course.
Doesn't Bill Gates head that though?
Yeah, exactly. You go see their rating chart, and there's like fake egg or like imitation eggs cooked in seed oils up here, and you've got real eggs cooked in butter, like almost the most unhealthy thing on the list. It's like they want you away from beef and eggs, and it's like, wait a minute.
Did you know that if you don't wash eggs, that they stay good for 6 months, just leaving them out on the counter? I just learned that.
Well, I never washed my eggs.
I did not know that.
You don't have to refrigerate eggs.
Yeah, and I'm letting my brooders just make 20 chicks at a time now. I don't even care. I'm just going to let them completely overtake the land and just let them run.
You don't have to refrigerate your eggs. You don't have to refrigerate your butter, and also you can hang meat for how long, BJ or Drew?
I mean, if you salt the meat,
water concentration.
Yeah, you have to salt it, and at least 6 months it holds.
That's all they did back in the day to preserve it with salt.
You know, there's all kinds of things you can do.
The funny thing is, like, I'm definitely tangenting here. Like before the microbial revolution, when they understood that like microbes rotted meat, what would end up happening is like hundreds and hundreds of years ago is you'd have all the meat markets and people's meat would start to stink, and they would start shoving all these spices in there. And they're like, oh, see, it smells fine. But it turns out all of those are actually natural antimicrobials. So there's certain spices you can put on the meat, and then literally the bacteria can't grow. Which is awesome.
All kinds of things you can do.
Garlic's a really good one too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry for the tangent.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Food that's worked for humans for thousands of years still works for humans. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So finishing up this thread, we don't know how far the bond contagion goes, but the problem clearly extends far and wide. If the contagion sparks a crisis, the Fed will literally have no choice but to work with the Treasury to bail out the banks. That means more QE and lower rates. And that's what Drew was getting to. Quantitative easing and rate cutting is definitely on the table. I had the rate cutting tweet right after this, which is great for Bitcoin. It's great for land ownership. You know, it's great for those who hold hard assets. You might see a temporary drawdown in prices, but over the long term, once they get back on that printer, this is what will spark that next insane run up, depending on how much they have to bail out. So let's see. I don't know what comes next. So give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. I do want to say we do have almost 600 people watching, 240 likes, guys. We know the magic number, 420 likes for this stream. If everybody can stop what they're doing, or at least the people that haven't liked it already, if you guys are watching on Twitch, if you could hop over and hit the like button on YouTube, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We've been doing great at hitting that 420 the last few weeks. So if we can just start, I mean, if that becomes automatic where I don't even have to ask you guys for that, then you won't have to hear me say this every
day.
You're
on the subway, just take a random person's phone, log into YouTube.
Just grab it.
Well, no, that hurts our watch time and retention. Don't do that.
That's true.
Yeah, we don't want hobos watching anyways.
What?
Yes, only do it to people that are passed out from heroin, and then you just sit it on autoplay. They'll watch like 50 videos.
That's right. Actually, autoplay isn't standard on YouTube anymore. You actually have to go check a little checkbox in the bottom right hand corner, right next to the gear, to keep autoplay running. So, another fun fact, they updated that a month or two ago. So, all right.
Thanks, Greta.
Yeah. Here comes a little fact on Elizabeth Warren. Liz Warren. Yeah, there you go. There's a you know, she
Halloween
looks like an
already?
angry grandma.
Doesn't she look like that teacher you hated
Yeah,
in
she
middle
looks like
school?
a math teacher for
She
sure.
was a teacher.
She was.
She was a teacher. Yeah, she was a teacher. That's what she did.
She's the
first.
one that like, oh, your pen was blue instead of black. You fail. Yeah, come on, man.
So Liz Warren has a $67 million net worth, even though her salary is $285K per year. Either she saved 100% of her earnings for 235 years, or she's making money in other
That
ways.
is great framing.
Yeah, so she probably, obviously, we know a lot of people that are in legislation and policy-related positions.
Gang says she obviously hates birthday cake and ice cream.
Yeah, obviously they make money in other ways.
Monthly income 400K. No,
Hey,
no,
what's
show
her
that.
She has an OnlyFans
Show the
too.
salary and
She's
the
not
monthly
Native
income there.
I thought she was heavily Native American.
She is when she's going to do the tax evasion.
Salary
Oh,
25,
yeah.
monthly income
Oh, yeah.
400K.
She owns a casino.
Somebody do that math. That's bizarre.
Yeah, so she's making 4.8 mil on top.
Yeah, so it's been pointed out to me by Gladstein that Forbes pegged her wealth at 12 million in 2019.
Wording.
So, yeah, regardless of whether it's 12 or 67, that's an awful lot of. No, she probably was at 12
Yeah, it's
million
like that guy
in
doesn't
2019.
understand the asset blowing up, you
Right.
know, like
Well,
20, 21.
And she was getting paid like crazy to do Zoom calls with banks, you know, in 2020 and 2021. Yeah, and somebody makes a good point here. This is not.
Why is anti-tribalism immediately going to tribalism?
I don't know. This is not exclusive to any one side. Politicians, I hate
they're
the
all
government.
scumbags.
Politicians on both sides use their seat of power to their advantage. They use it to enrich themselves, enrich their families, keep their families in positions of power.
Yep.
If you guys haven't watched House of Cards or any of those kind of shows,
I was just about to say that because it's exactly like that. I think.
well, yeah. Have you? Yeah. What? Talk about that for a
I
second.
think the stream just got demonetized. We showed a too gross of a photo.
Oh.
Now, do you watch House of Cards without Spacey?
I watched it.
They do like a season.
Before the Spacey stuff came out. I was watching the Spacey House of Cards, but it gave me. I'll tell you what it gave me. It gave me Clinton vibes.
Gave you Clinton vibes?
The whole first couple seasons gave me Clinton vibes.
Oh yeah,
on like how they ran it. But I've heard from other politicians that is exactly what it's like though. Like you come there with good intentions. These people get elected with great intentions. They want to change the world. They immediately get corrupted, or they'll sick like people will investigate them and find dirt on you and force you to do things.
Well, it's like what Fat Sack just said. If you had that kind of power, wouldn't you do the same thing? I like to say no, but it's probably yes.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if I would.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
in
until
my
you're in
opinion.
that situation.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
You either leave politics or
Yeah.
you have to fall into line. It's basically they design the system to make you have to fall in line because you cannot stay in position unless you're playing by their rules. And
absolute power corrupts.
Maybe we
Absolutely.
should
There you go.
go back to micro governance with security.
Yeah, maybe like
councils.
states laws and
or
you know.
townships and local sheriffs, because local sheriffs
Crypto
are
Thorn does
seeing
not
exactly
have
all this
morals.
garbage, and local sheriffs do not feel in line with these massive politicians. I will tell you that 100%. So don't lose faith in your local people. This is all on the federal level, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I agree. So we're seeing kind of mass problems all over all the banks everywhere. You know, is it intentional? Is it by design? Is it to create some chaos and some fear in the markets to have a reason to step in and print again? Because we knew basically this was happening at the end of 2019. If they didn't turn the printers on and turn them on in a huge way, we would have been right here in 2019. And they printed more money than they've ever printed over the span of 2 years, basically. They increased the money supply by almost doubled it, more
It's
or
almost
less.
like they needed a smoke and mirror
They just had to go
mechanism to do it.
Someone
with.
went,
Right.
"Achoo," and then there you go.
And we see Wells Fargo customers reporting their direct deposits and scheduled paychecks were missing from their accounts this morning. This is what I talked about that a little bit earlier. We have people in our chat also saying that they're having issues missing thousands of dollars, some accounts showing negative. And it is interesting, the deposits that are automatically rolling in, mysteriously missing, almost like they're being rerouted to places where their withdrawals are happening at mass to give themselves time to correct this issue and fix it. Like, it's a little scary when you're seeing, in Wells Fargo.
Is Caroline Ellison, their CFO now? What's going on?
Yeah,
It's really basic math.
Yeah, it is. Look, if I move it over here, move it over there, it's like, I'm just buying time. They're going to they're probably tweeting out call options to peg a currency at a certain price. Like, please, Jerome Powell, print us some more money, or the treasurer, we need it. We need it now. And if they buy enough time, they can kind of keep their Ponzi going.
Now they're going to start locking up your savings. Like, hey, if you want to lock up your savings, we'll give you 1% yield after 6 months. They're going to start doing like hexagons. Like, who wants to do 5,800 in 4 days?
God.
Lock up your savings.
Oh God,
we'll give you 2% interest.
Yeah,
dead.
No, I mean it's we're joking about it, but it's pretty real scenario at this point. The
It's
banks.
like, do we actually try to take our money out of the bank? Like, I'm super paranoid.
I
right
was
now.
tempted. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, you know what? What would happen if I just went and like, hey, you know, I'm gonna just empty my account. I just want my money. I know what they would do. They tell me I can't do it right now. I have to schedule an appointment and come back.
That GTR is going to be on a hot list real fast.
No, I would just go bury it somewhere.
See, boating accident.
But that's why I was saying this is why I feel when, you know, of course that thought goes through your mind, but then I'm like, you know what? Majority of my, you know, purchasing power is in self-custody places somewhere or another. It isn't, you know, how do I say? It's in crypto, basically, and in places that I control. It's not in a centralized exchange. It's not in a bank. Now, yeah, you have to have some operating funds in there to do what you need to do to transact over the rails that do exist today. But for the most part, having the majority of your wealth in something that you hold, you control, feels really good on days like today when you're seeing all this fear out there. And again, I don't want everybody freaking out. Don't run it. I mean, hey, you know, maybe if you want to buy some ammunition, it always tends to spike in times like this. You know, I guess if you're a trader, you'd say like, well, don't buy into the pump, which is probably smart. Wait for the fear to come back down and buy some more. But that being said, you know, I feel good about having self-custody over all this stuff. I feel good about taking my life more into a direction of self-sovereignty, whether it's owning your own property, having some space, you know, like out where Justin and I live. You know, I feel pretty good that, you know, if things were really hitting the fan, it would take a while for chaos to get to our area. And I feel pretty good about the people in that area being able to take care of themselves and fend for themselves.
Yeah, there's a lot of American flags in front yards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
backyard gardens.
Right. Exactly. No, I'm serious. You know, having friends like Drew, you know, and you don't have to, this is another strategy when it comes to prepping. You don't have to be 100% prepared, you know, and maybe it's best to. You don't have to be 100% prepared in all areas. But if you've got friends that are close by, that, okay,
prepare
look,
with your community.
Yeah, you got this covered. You've got that covered, you know, and then you can barter and trade and take care of each other. You know, building a strong network is definitely part of that.
Yes.
So real quick, just to recap, but I thought this guy did a pretty good job. He said, so regulators force banks to hold tons of security or treasuries. Banks load up during the ZERP. Fed prints $5 trillion. OMG inflation. Jerome hikes at the fastest pace ever. Bonds crash. Banks realize massive losses if depositors demand withdrawals. Everyone blames Bitcoin and crypto. Oh, yeah. And that's the world we live in.
And so let me just kind of put a finer point on this. There's all these treasuries. If you hold it to maturity, you are going to be fine. The problem is when they have to sell it ahead of time. Because if it's $100 and in 10 years, they'll give you 120, you're good to go. You got your 120. It's all accounted for. Everything's straight. But if it's 5 years into it and you just really, really need the money, you have this $100. It's going to be 120. And you got someone crossing their arms like, I'll give you 90 for it. And that's the situation that they're finding themselves in. So that's these unrealized losses. If they were to sell it right now, they're going to be very, very underwater. But when Elizabeth Warren tweets about you, all of a sudden you're forced to sell all these things for 90 cents on the dollar, 80 cents on the dollar.
And so you go from being in a very what you feel is a healthy, comfortable position to a really tough position over the span of 12 hours, 24 hours, 2 or 3 days. And that's what we've seen with a couple different banks. And the problem is when you see it with 2 or 3, especially ones that people think there's no way that would happen to them, then it makes people scratch their heads like, hey, you know what, maybe I'm gonna move a little bit out of here. I'm gonna move a little bit out of there. And again, I don't think this contagion will continue like race to the bottom necessarily. Regulators will step in and just stop this from happening. That's the other thing. We do not live in an open free market. If the market's not going the way the US government wants it to go, they will literally just close it. They will say, nope, you can't sell this. You can't buy this. Give us some time to move some money around. And we're going to prop this stuff up because it's too big to fail. And that's where that expression comes from. That's why they call it crony capitalism. That's why it's not a true capitalistic market, because free markets do not exist today, unfortunately. And, you know, for better or worse, because they don't feel like people are prepared enough to deal with true economic downturn that would come from issues like this. So I did see a great question there from Crypto Stevo. We will close with this question. We're sitting right now. He said this time tomorrow, Bitcoin will be what price? We're sitting at 19,900. 34 on the market. We're sitting at basically 1411 according to CoinMarketCap.
20,200.
So DZ's take 20,200 for 24 hours from now. I will come to Drew next. What do you think?
I mean, I think 19.5 is definitely what I'm feeling for the next day, just in the short term. I think we're going to get some chop pain here in a minute. So,
all right, let us know in the chat where you think the price will be 24 hours from now. Justin, what's your pick?
Where it's at right now.
So basically 19.9
in change. 19.9, 18.8, right around there.
BJ, you say 18,460?
Yeah.
It's like the price is right.
It is. It's good.
We need a spin.
Oh, we forgot to say Bob afterwards.
Thanks, Bob.
I'm gonna go.
Dun, 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 dun,
You guys put some pretty. I'm trying to pick something that's not the same. Did you? You didn't say 19.5, did you, Drew?
I did.
You did. Dang it!
Yeah,
all right, that's what I was gonna say. And you said 19.9, and you said 20,200, just above 20. Yeah. I'm gonna go with. I mean, I guess I'll take 19.7 just to be in between where
Price is Right move.
Yeah, I got to be
That's
between
such a Price is Right
Justin
move.
Williams and Drew. So I'll go $19,700. We'll have to timestamp it.
Justin sandwich.
If you guys are, like, somebody in the chat, help me out. If you guys are watching this tomorrow, leave a comment. If somebody could comment where the price is at 233 on March 11th, Bitcoin price according to CoinMarketCap. I'd love to see where we come in at, and maybe whoever's closest will get something special. So don't ask me what, because I don't know.
Do we get a hug from TJ?
Oh, you might get more than a hug.
Peanut Butter says he bets
yeah.
a prostate
Wait, that got
exam that it's 18,300.
A
prostate exam.
So is he going to give the prostate exam?
I think this is just an excuse to take our pants off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pants off, dance off?
All right, guys. That's all we have time for today. Stay safe out there. Buy the dip. Buy some ammo.
Go yell at Joel.
Be prepared. Yeah, we're going to raid Hit Network Gaming. Sometimes you just need to step away from the markets. Have some fun. Smile. It's a Friday. It's
Touch
party
grass.
day. Yeah, touch some grass. Go play some video games. That's the opposite of touching grass. But yeah, he's having
Touch grass in the video game.
Yeah, there you go. In the metaverse. No, he's doing emo day. So go hang out with him. That's all we have time for. We love you all. Subscribe. Once we get him to 1,000 subs on YouTube, we can raid there too. So talk to you guys soon.
Pants off, dance off.